go through the third ether, you can see that there's some of the elements in there also describe the tarot card itself, and they may well relate more to some of the versions that Crowley rejected. Some people think you should have 3 full cards in there, because really it should be 3 fulls, shouldn't it? Actually, that'd be the joke. Yeah, if you're actually going to follow the logic, it'd be 3 fulls, not 3 major. Mind you can have 3 kings, can't you? So then it gets a bit, or 3 stooges, maybe another way. But if you work on this, you'll get pretty silver-tongued by all of this as well. You know, you can play around with. You know, basically he's saying that you can generate the universe through communication, and there's always this ambiguity with communication that goes on as well. Some people see it true, some people see it as a lie. Thomas, is this making sense?
Yes and no. No, it makes a lot of sense. It opens up like these threads, invisible threads that tie the cards together. And also, well, this funny play he's using in this lever you were starting with, where sometimes it's to the trumps, the references of numbers, and sometimes it's to other things. It's all very like an invisible web that you can't really even feel. Well, the other way around, you can feel it, but it's hard to be explicit about it.
And I think if it was that explicit, you'd lose things as well. I mean, it's not as bad as people around you telling in jokes and you not having a clue what they're talking about. But there's, it's things you need to work at. The answers are there. He's given the answers in plain sight. You just have to work through. I mean, basically, you almost kind of need sort of spread out in front of you. Libra A, Veil Armorum, Libra V, Veil Magus, the Ether of Zom, the part from Libra Aleph, the text that he gives on this for us as well, plus the verses. I mean, you know, it's hard enough sort of talking about the first bits, wasn't it? That was quite simple. We struggled a bit on those things, you see. But he hasn't left anything out. Sometimes he's just pointing out the levels of ignorance that we have within ourselves on these things. You know, it's complex, isn't it?
It's amazingly complex. I don't know. I tend to regard this visual Book of Thoth as the foundational piece of modern Western magic. I mean, he certainly had that ambition to create a system that would last for an eon.
Yeah.
And I think he has, to some extent, succeeded. There is nothing that even approaches it.
Absolutely. And I think there's a kind of genius. I mean, a lot of the Book of Thoth is a cut and paste. But he's done a brilliant job of cutting and pasting.
Very much so, yeah.
You know, just to sort of to have that mind that remember. You know, I struggle with these bits, just sort of here, sort of finding the bits, and I was sort of going through it today. But he sort of remembers these things he's written from donkeys years ago, and puts them back into the system.
Mm-hmm.
Because he hasn't been working in the last years of his life. He certainly wasn't working within a lodge or anything else either. So he's just his prodigious memory and able to sort of find these things and edit them into some kind of form. It's an amazing achievement.
He did mention this thing about how the study of the Kabbalah. It's a little bit like a mnemonic system.
Yeah.
That it will, and I think this plays a role here.
Yeah, I mean, there's that side of things I haven't bothered with. I mean, we could have gone through the whole of Libra 777, looking at, you know, I mean, there's plenty, you know, I mean, this is a hell of a lot more than I expect. We got through a hell of a lot more than I thought I would this morning, actually. I sort of found bits and added them in. I thought this would be a great way to just kind of, it's a scattergun approach, but just to sort of give you the kind of perspective and the range that's available in these things. But it does come down to understanding it's in the supernals. It's to do with the letter 8 and infinity, and he's doing that in several ways by doing it as 0 and all these things. And also creating the 4 elements with the magical powers that go with them as well. And, there's a formal structure in there, isn't there? Which essentially the full card, the Magus card has.
Absolutely.
And with the Kadaka, the way he's integrated all these things together. And, and it'll keep me in work just trying to pick this apart as much as anything else. So I think we all probably need to have a lie down now or a very large drink. I'm pleased because I haven't got a headache this time, because the last couple of times I've ended up with a headache trying to describe this. And as you can see, I'm very happy to say I don't know, and I don't have a clue sometimes, because it's anyone who pretends to completely know and understand this. If they do, they probably won't be able to tell you anyway. So there's always going to be areas that you don't understand, but at least just by doing this, you'll be far ahead of just about everyone else who studies tarot and the Book of Thoth. Anyone got anything else? Final comments?
Minor question.
Yes, Thomas.
This card,
yes.
It's often referenced. I think you mentioned also the altar, the cube. I'm just puzzled by, I can't find any visual representation of the altar or the cube.
No, there isn't.
There isn't. Okay.
Well, there is, of course, if you look at the Rider-Waite deck or the Golden Dawn decks.
Yes.
They have the cube. And it's a fundamental part of the system. The cube actually turns up with the letter Tau as well, and the princesses. Okay. If you look on the princesses, you'll see there is usually an altar. This came up on the workshop the other day actually as well. So that puts it in to do with final, the earth kind of thing where the altar is as well. So that's in the princesses, as we know, come from somewhere else as well. So that would be the second, because there are 2 altars. And the table that you do the tarot readings on is also an altar as well.
Oh, okay.
So you place the cards on the altar. And I started doing this talk, and then I realized we didn't do the invocation. I thought, to hell with it anyway. Yeah. Probably we should have done. And it would have made more sense.
Maybe that's why you don't have a headache now.
Well, that could be the truth, yes. There's it's just interesting. Last time we talked, I'm finding doing these talks and things is forcing me to really go back to basics on stuff as well with the Book of Thoth. And I'm finding things that I've forgotten about or insights that I hadn't realized were there. And I keep on finding areas that I found out that I don't know much about. And then I'm flicking through the Book of Thoth, and he's writing about it. It's in there somewhere. Off the cuff remarks, and that's a whole bloody system of magic he's just mentioned in there to do with one card. I don't actually understand this bit, because I've been trying to understand it, and it doesn't make sense at the moment. So it just should just point you to more things to study, basically. So hopefully, if you can, yes, Bart.
What you also have a lot, I have noticed there, when you're doing research about Crowley books. Like there is, for example, I don't know, he mentions a name of a place, a place that doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
And then when you Google it, the only bloody result you get is the one from this Crowley book that you're reading. Except for this Crowley book, no one on the whole planet had ever heard of this place.
Isn't that used to be called Google whacking, didn't it? So it's to find a word or phrase that only comes up with one reference.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then but no, they have multiple references, but they're all just going to the same book, the one that you're reading.
It's like Lake Pasquani, isn't it? And things like this. You know, they're all.
What word is there? And oh, I was reading a Crowley book and there was this strange word. Now, because I'm not English, I presumed it was a pretty normal, basic word. And as you're looking it up, you can't find it. And then I asked someone and they told me it's a word that Crowley made up himself. So when you're English, you are aware of that. But when you're not English, you just think it's a word that doesn't belong to your vocabulary. And you keep looking and looking and looking.
And now you won't be able to use it, will you?
Oh, yeah, when I want to sound posh, I mean, nobody will have a clue what I'm on about. And those who do, oh, they are interesting people, you know. But where I live, nobody knows Crowley. Here in Austin, a few people know him as an evil magician.
Yeah.
But for the rest, they don't have a clue.
There isn't anything particularly evil in this stuff. It's just...
No, I don't think so.
That's a shame. So I guess next week will be the High Priestess. We did do that one, didn't we, months ago? The High Priestess.
But yeah, we did the quintessential dignities.
Quintessential of being, wasn't it?
Yeah, the primordial quintessences of being.
Yes, quite.
Yes,
yeah. That was in that context.
Yes.
So now I'll have to go back and redo it in this kind of form. And then see where we take it from that as well.
Yes, because the High Priestess, I've always wondered, either the High Priestess is a lot less interesting than people are telling, or there's a lot of things people are not telling about a High Priestess. Because you hear a lot of interesting things about her, but you never get the juice.
I think, is it your High Priestess chipping in there as well?
That's me birdie, that's Tweety. She's in love with me. Well, right, let me show her. Here's Tweety.
Hello, Tweety. There's a budgie.
Oh. Yeah. She's staying away, she's lovely.
Oh, I see you've got an interesting tattoo as well.
Oh, yeah. Hey, Tweety, get off. Stop biting my foot. Get off.
Unicursal hexagram. I see.
Yeah, what was it? My birthday.
And that's on the left-hand path as well.
Yeah, that's how it's supposed to be, I suppose, if you're a Crowley fan.
Okay, so right. So next Sunday we'll do the book, the Librau. I've come up with an interesting way of looking at that one actually, which will be fun to do. And next week hopefully we'll crack on with the High Priestess. We're still in the supernal triangle. I can never leave the supernal triangle, can I?
It's because we are divine.
That could be what it is. Anyone any questions or comments? As I say, if you any complaints, tell Bart. Anything wonderful to say, you can tell me during the week. Any questions as well, or things to clarify, and I'll try and sort of sort out this video tomorrow at some point and send it to you. And then you can sort of have your own headaches on your own and try and work out stuff. And I might have some answers for next week as well. Are we all done?
That's good. Thank you very much, Paul.
Good. I hope it's helped, Miles.
Yeah,
You're doing really well for someone who's fairly new to this stuff.
Yeah, no, I'm loving it. It's good.
Yeah, good. Well, we keep on going, and hopefully, when you next look through the Book of Thoth, it'll make a bit more different to what it's done now.
Yeah, I'll even open my tarot card pack soon. Not I have. I'm too scared.
He hasn't even looked. Oh God!
I have. That was just a joke.
Oh dear me. No, please do ask questions during these things anyway, because I mean, I sort of go on. I'm just wondering if everyone's fallen asleep or just completely lost sometimes. So ask the questions, especially the dumb ones, because actually they bring out things that I need clarifying, or I don't understand myself as well sometimes. So you managed to catch me out a few times this evening, which is good. So there's always room for improvement. So hopefully we'll see you on the next thing or whatever, and have a good evening.